courtroom buzzed with a low murmur, the kind that draped the air like a heavy fog. The judge, a stout man with a balding head and rimless glasses perched on the edge of his nose, rapped his gavel sharply against the wooden desk. "Order. This court will come to order." His voice boomed, echoing off the polished wooden walls. The spectators fell silent, shuffling in their seats, all eyes on the judge as he prepared to hear the case of State v. Thompson. The stakes were high, a young man's future hung in the balance, and the tension was palpable. In the front row, a group of concerned family members exchanged worried glances, their faces pale with anxiety. The accused, a lanky boy of 19 with unkempt hair and a faded hoodie, sat sullenly, his eyes glued to the floor. "Your Honor," the prosecutor stood, adjusting his tie, "the evidence against the defendant is overwhelming. We have eyewitnesses who saw him." "Objection." A voice rang out from the back of the courtroom, slicing through the prosecutor's words. Everyone turned to see a young boy, no older than 12, standing with his hands on his hips. He was small for his age and wore a baseball cap that seemed 2 sizes too big. "Who do you think you are?" the judge snapped, his patience wearing thin. "I'm here to stop this," the boy shouted, his voice surprisingly strong. "You can't do this to him." Gasps rippled through the room. The judge narrowed his eyes, scanning the boy's determined expression. "What do you mean? Stop this. This is a serious matter." "Seriously wrong," the boy insisted, taking a step forward. "You're trying to convict him for something he didn't do. I know it. I'm his brother." The courtroom erupted in whispers, the tension shifting like quicksand. The judge rubbed his temples, visibly frustrated. "You're saying you're related to the accused?" "Yeah, I'm Jamal Thompson, and I've got proof." He pulled out a crumpled piece of paper from his pocket and waved it in the air. "Jamal," the judge began, his tone softening slightly, "this is not how we conduct ourselves in a courtroom. You need to sit down and—" "No, I won't," Jamal interrupted, his fists clenched. "You don't understand. I saw everything." The prosecutor scoffed, leaning back in his chair, arms crossed. "And what could a child possibly know about this case?" "I know a lot." Jamal's voice cracked with emotion. "I was there. I saw who really did it." An uncomfortable silence fell over the courtroom, the weight of Jamal's words hanging in the air. The judge glanced at the defense attorney, who was shifting nervously in his seat. "Your Honor, if I may," the defense attorney finally spoke, his voice barely above a whisper. "Perhaps we should hear what the boy has to say." The judge sighed, rubbing the bridge of his nose. "Very well, but make it quick." Jamal stepped forward, his heart racing. "It was the night of the party. I was hiding in the bushes, trying to sneak a peek at the fireworks. That's when I saw." Boom! He imitated the sound of fireworks exploding, and the crowd chuckled nervously. The judge raised an eyebrow, but he didn't interrupt. Jamal pressed on. "I saw 2 guys. They were fighting. And then one of them pulled out a knife. It wasn't my brother, I swear." "Enough with the theatrics," the prosecutor barked, but Jamal ignored him. "The other guy was tall and had a tattoo on his arm." Up he pointed dramatically, eyes wide. "That's who did it. Not my brother." The judge leaned forward, intrigued despite himself. "Do you have any idea who these men were?" Jamal hesitated, looking down at the floor. I think it was someone from the neighborhood, but I can't be sure." "Your Honor, this is ridiculous," the prosecutor shouted. "A child's testimony based on a fleeting glimpse? It's not enough to dismiss the charges." "But it's something," the defense attorney countered, that rising to his feet. "We can't ignore it. This boy might have seen something crucial." The judge rubbed his chin, considering. "All right, let's take a recess. I want to hear more from you, Jamal, but you need to be honest." "Okay." Jamal nodded vigorously, relief washing over him. As the courtroom emptied, Jamal felt a surge of hope. He had managed to stall the proceedings, but he knew it wouldn't be easy. He caught his brother's eye and saw a flicker of gratitude that made his heart swell. Outside the courtroom, Jamal took a deep breath, inhaling the musty scent of old wood and polished brass. He was determined to uncover the truth, no matter what it took. After the recess, the judge called everyone back into the room. Jamal returned to his place, his heart pounding. The atmosphere was heavy with anticipation. "Jamal," the judge began, "you mentioned a tattoo. Can you describe it?" "It was a snake," Jamal replied, remembering the flash of ink he'd seen. "It wrapped around his arm, and he had a scar on his cheek." Interesting, the judge mused, jotting down notes. And you said you were hiding in the bushes? Can anyone corroborate your story? I was with my friend Marcus. Jamal stammered. He can back me up. Bring Marcus in, the judge ordered. Minutes later, a tall boy with a nervous expression entered the courtroom. Jamal felt a wave of relief wash over him. Marcus, you were with Jamal that night? The judge asked. Yeah, Marcus replied, glancing at Jamal. We were just watching the fireworks, and then... The fight happened, Jamal interjected. You remember the tattoo guy, right? The snake? Marcus nodded vigorously. Yeah, I saw him too. He was yelling at someone, and then it got crazy. The prosecutor's brow furrowed, his confidence beginning to wane. You both expect this court to believe that two children can accurately identify a suspect based on a brief encounter? Jamal's pulse raced. But we saw it. We saw everything. You have to believe us. The judge tapped his fingers on the desk, deep in thought. What you're saying is serious. If you're lying, there could be consequences. We're not lying, Jamal shouted, desperation creeping into his voice. Please, you have to listen. The judge leaned back in his chair, contemplating. Fine, we will investigate this tattoo. If it leads to the true culprit, then we may have a case worth pursuing. A wave of relief washed over Jamal, a smile breaking through his earlier worry. The judge's acceptance felt like a small victory, but he knew the battle was far from over. As the courtroom began to clear out again, Jamal's heart raced. He turned to his brother, who had a glimmer of hope in his eyes. You'll be okay, I promise, he said, determination coloring his voice. His brother nodded, but the fear of uncertainty still lingered. Thanks, little man, I don't know what I'd do without you. Jamal grinned, feeling a sense of pride. I'll find out who did this. I swear. Days turned into weeks as the investigation unfolded. Jamal and Marcus searched their neighborhood for any sign of the tattooed man, their determination unwavering. They talked to anyone who would listen, piecing together the night of the party like detectives on a mission. One afternoon, as they sat on the playground swings, Jamal's phone rang. It was the defense attorney. Jamal, we've got a lead, the attorney said, his voice crackling with excitement. We found someone who knows the man with the snake tattoo. We need you and Marcus to come down to the station. Jamal's heart raced as he exchanged a glance with Marcus. We're on our way, he said, adrenaline coursing through him. At the police station, the air was thick with tension. They were ushered into a small room with a one-way mirror. A man sat across the table, tapping his fingers impatiently. His arms were covered in tattoos, snake designs winding around his biceps. This is him, the attorney said, gesturing at the man. But we need you two to confirm it. Jamal's stomach twisted with nerves. He glanced at Marcus, who nodded with encouragement. Okay, Jamal said, stepping forward. Are you the one who was at the party? The man smirked, his eyes narrowing. What's it to you, kid? Just answer the question, Marcus said, his voice steady. Were you there? Maybe, the man replied, leaning back in his chair. But I don't remember a lot of kids lurking in the bushes. Jamal's heart raced as he glanced at the attorney. You're lying. You had a fight, and you used a knife. The man's expression shifted, and he leaned forward. You've got guts, kid. I'll give you that. Minutes passed like hours as Jamal's mind raced. The man had to be the one. We saw you, Jamal pressed, trying to keep his voice steady. You're the one who hurt my brother. The man burst into laughter, a cold, cruel sound that sent chills down Jamal's spine. You think you can prove anything? You're just a kid, and I'm not afraid of you. The door swung open, and two officers stepped in. We have enough evidence to hold you for questioning, one of them said, grabbing the man by the arm. What? You can't do this? The man shouted, but they dragged him away. Jamal felt a surge of triumph. They had done it. With the man in custody, the truth was finally coming to light. In the following days, the courtroom buzzed once more. But this time, the air was charged with anticipation. The judge sat at the front, a serious expression on his face as he addressed the room. After careful deliberation, we have decided to dismiss the charges against the defendant, he declared, his voice steady. The evidence provided by two brave young witnesses has led us to the true perpetrator. Justice will be served. Cheers erupted from the gallery, and Jamal felt his heart swell with pride. He had fought for his brother, and it had paid off. The weight of the world lifted from his shoulders as he exchanged a grin with Marcus. As they exited the courtroom, Jamal felt a sense of accomplishment wash over him. He had interrupted a court hearing, faced down a criminal, and ultimately changed the course of his brother's life. "Hey," Marcus said, nudging him with a grin. "You were pretty brave up there." "Yeah, well, I had to be," Jamal replied, a smile creeping onto his face. "Family comes first." They stepped into the bright sunlight, the weight of the past behind them. With laughter echoing in the air and a sense of hope blooming in their hearts, they walked forward together, ready to face whatever came next.